Hi everyone, this is Professor Penrod. I'll be the instructor for your Meda 110 Medical Terminology course for this semester. Our CN is 43036 and our time frame will be August 17th through December 13th, which is a 16-week course. I do have Zoom hours set up on Tuesday and Wednesday. This will be the Zoom link from 1:30 to 3. And my Thursday Zoom link will be from 10 to 12 in the morning, okay? And so you can just kind of come in on either one of those times and wait in the waiting room, and then I'll let you in because I can only have one person at a time, okay? If you want to let me know ahead of time with an email that you're going to be there, that's great. My email is listed up here. Just make sure if you email me, let me know the CRN and your name when you contact me, okay? So this is a 3-unit course, and we will be going through all of the body systems, okay, starting with all of the rules of medical terminology, prefixes, suffixes, important directional terms, and then we will start getting into the body systems as we approach Chapter 5, okay? So we will cover everything in the body plus some pharmacology and radiology, okay? And so there will be homework that's due each week. There will be an exam at the end of each week. And then there's 5 discussion boards as well. Okay, about every 2 to 3 weeks we have a discussion board. Okay. Every Sunday at 11:59 there is an exam due. The homework is due that same time as well. It really is important to make sure that once you start your exam that you finish it. You can't stop and start. So once it starts, it will run its course. Please make sure that you take your exams on a computer or a laptop and not a smaller device like an iPad or an iPhone. Some of those buttons do not appear on the smaller devices, and the matching questions in the test don't allow drop downs. So it's really important that when you take your exams, that you do it on a larger either laptop or computer. Okay. The other thing too is when you submit your homework, you can submit the homework as a text entry, or you can download the sheets that are in there into the system as a Word doc or a PDF. Okay, please don't use Pages. I know that's a common for some of the Google Pads, but please don't use Pages for any of your assignments because the Canvas system can't open them and I won't be able to grade it. Okay. The other things that will be graded on are discussion boards, and we'll have 5 separate discussion boards. You will be responsible for an initial post that will be due on Wednesday of the week that we have the post at 11:59, and then you'll need to go back into the system and check out what some of your classmates have written, and then just post 2 comments to their responses to the discussion post by Saturday. So the first initial post has to be done by Wednesday, and the 2 students' post or classmates' post have to be posted by 11:59 on Saturday of the week of the boards. And I will make sure that I send a reminder out, and each module says discussion boards this week as a reminder that week. There are some without, but about every 2 to 3 weeks we'll have a discussion board. So I will send reminders to just remember that the initial post is due Wednesday, and that the subsequent 2 classmates' posts are due by Saturday at 11:59. Okay. There are some criteria for this, and so the first post that's done by Wednesday needs to be at least a full paragraph, 6 sentences. And with most of the topics that we're covering, it really is possible to get 2 or 3 good, solid paragraphs with the topics that are being discussed. And it's important too that when you do your 2 student posts or your 2 classmates posts, that we're executing things in a very thoughtful manner, being positive in our remarks, and making sure that we're making a good solid paragraph of at least 6 sentences in response to your classmates. Okay, you can't just say, I like your post, that's great. You really need to have some sentences that either add some information or affirm what they've said. And the other thing that needs to be posted is when you do this research, let's not just use the textbook, we want to make sure that we're using an outside academic source like the Mayo Clinic, any kind of magazine from the American Academy of Family Practice, the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Health, the CDC, some sort of medical magazine or medical source, and then make sure you post that source within the initial post. It doesn't have to be embedded in the post, just at the end as a link with the name of the article, the source that you got it from, the author, and then the publishing date. So some people like to take a quick look at that, and I sometimes will check in on those just to make sure that they look like they're good, suitable sources for you guys to be using. Okay, so make sure that's at the end of your initial post. And so in order to get 10 full points for the discussion post, we need to have 3 paragraphs done on time, appropriately structured with the amount of correct sentences, and then making sure that we list the academic source. Okay. Partial credit will be given if some of those criteria are not met. If we forget to do the post by Wednesday, or we don't respond to 2 students' posts, then the maximum that will be given is 3 points. And if we don't fit these criteria at all, then there won't be any credit given. Okay. And then there will be a cumulative final exam. And I know a lot of people get a little stressed about that. But it's important to make sure that we're getting a good, well-rounded foundation, because this medical assisting course, or this medical terminology course, is a prerequisite course for most of our allied health programs. And so having a strong foundation in medical terminology is important as you progress through. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to be successful in our programs. Okay, so we do a cumulative final. Most people do fine, and if you take each week and study adequately per week, the final exam shouldn't be too big, it shouldn't be too overwhelming. Okay. We do a straight scale, grading scale across the board. 100 to 90% is an A, 89.99 to 80 is a B, 79.99 to 70 is a C, and below that is a D or an F if we're below 60%. Okay, so we do stick to these guidelines. I do have people that like to be bumped up, but it's important to realize that there's quite a few points in this course. And so just making sure that you're diligent to take all the exams, do all the discussion boards, and do all the homework. Most people do well in this class. Okay. All right. So methods of instruction. There will be audio lectures. There will be PowerPoint lectures listed, as well as some audio lectures. Some of the audio lectures will be done by me. A few of the lectures will be done by a colleague of mine who is also a physician assistant. We have very similar backgrounds. I'm in the process of making my own. So some of them will be by me and some of them will be by her. So just be aware of that. Okay, but they will be in the system, and that will be something you can go back and listen to. There will be PowerPoints with and without the audio lecture. Okay. So the book that we need is Delmar's Comprehensive Medical Terminology, the 5th edition by Betty Davis Jones. And the ISBN is here. You can do the hard copy book, or you could do the ebook. The ebook is cheaper if you go through Amazon or the bookstore. But it is important to get that book right away. A lot of people email me asking if it's okay to use another edition, like a short, an older edition, the 3rd or the 4th. And the problem is that they may not have, those editions don't have all the same information. There's some extra chapters that were included in this newer edition that aren't in there. And so I really do recommend getting either the 5th edition, either the hard copy or the ebook, okay, as opposed to using the older editions, okay. And like I said earlier, this kind of goes through all of the areas that we'll be covering. We'll be going through not only the terms themselves, the prefixes and suffixes, but we will be also covering some anatomy, some disease processes, laboratory tests, and clinical procedures. Okay, and so we will be hitting that with every single section of the body that we go through. So it is quite a bit. of information, and so it's really important to make sure that you time-wise schedule yourself. Try to do a little bit of studying every day, break it down into reading in the PowerPoints and taking notes first, then going through and doing the homework. And then the other thing I do have that will be a link in Canvas is I've set up Quizlet folders in the Quizlet system. So if you click on the link that's listed in the modules, that'll take you directly to the folders that I've done. And so using the Quizlet with each chapter that we're using, there are different ways to set up the Quizlet test. You can set them up in flashcards, you can set it up in a multiple choice or matching, or you can randomize it. And so it's a good way to kind of do a number of different once you've kind of gone through and taken notes and gone through the PowerPoints and read through the chapter and done the homework, you could go back and use the Quizlet to kind of test yourself. Okay, and so I think I'll show that in just a little bit. Okay, so that goes through all of the areas that we'll be covering. It really is important. This is a fully online course, so obviously participation is mandatory. Okay, and so it's important. If you do not log in within 2 weeks, then I will have to go ahead and drop you, because once we've gone that far, we'll have covered 4 chapters, and so it's really important to make sure that we log in within the first 2 weeks. And if you go more than 2 weeks, you can be subject to being dropped. Okay, so I encourage you that if you start having problems or issues, to email me, because if you go full 2 weeks without logging in, I will send you an email and find out what's going on. But you have to understand, missing more than 2 weeks really starts to put a stress with this course. This is a doable course, but there's a lot of information, and so if you get behind, it can be very difficult to catch up. Okay, and you won't get the full benefit or the full benefit of the course because you've had to rush through, and there's a lot of terms, and it takes a while for these terms to absorb, and so you want to give yourself the opportunity to be successful, because if you're in this course, generally that means that you want to go on in the medical profession, and the more you build of this general language, the stronger you'll be as you go forward in your medical career. Okay, this is really a strong foundation course. Okay. The other thing we need to kind of discuss is class behavior and your code of conduct. And so it's very important, being an online class, that we realize that even though we're not sitting in class, that we're not supposed to be using the book or any outside sources. Okay, no phones, no book while you're taking the tests. Okay, we have to maintain academic integrity. And when you use outside sources, that is basically cheating and is subject for discipline by the dean and or the disciplinary or the dean of student affairs office. Okay, it is possible to check. If I do a view log, I can see if people leave the Canvas site while you're taking your test, and so it's really important to make sure that you're studying adequately and don't just rely on using the book. Okay, because it's not going to behoove you at this point to not make it through, or to not actually focus in on your studies, because as you get farther along, it will come back to cause you problems as you go further in the medical field if you don't have this strong foundation. It's like trying to write a term paper without knowing the ABCs. You need to have this strong foundation, and so it is important to make sure that you take the time and the steps to get that information so that you can be successful as you go forward. Okay. All right, so some study tips. Medical terminology is the language of medicine, and so it is kind of like learning a foreign language. And so it's really important to see it visually, to say it auditory for reinforcement, and to write it. And so really integrating all 3 of these things into your studying process is important. Okay, because some people absorb things better than others, but this is a lot of information in a fairly short period of time, and so you really need to make sure that you have time set aside, and make sure that you're doing a couple of hours every day. Okay, if you try to cram the day or two before, it can be very difficult to be successful in this course. Okay, so do not wait. And most of the students that take this course, that's one of the big things they say, is that they do some every day and they don't procrastinate. Okay. Flashcards are also a thing that a lot of people like to do that kind of reinforces the kinesthetic reinforcement as far as writing it. The Quizlet does help because it does start randomizing and making flashcards, but sometimes making physical flashcards is beneficial for students. Some people like that because it's a source that they can look back on even after they're done with the course and use it as a reference. Okay. All right. And so if you have DSPS services, if you need any of these services, please make sure that you email me right away so that we can get the information that we need to plug into the system. So any DSPS services need to get to me as soon as possible. Okay. And even though we're remote, if you contact the counselor's office and set up an appointment, they can email me all the accommodations. So it's just a matter of getting with a counselor and calling as soon as possible. Okay. All right, some of the important dates. The last day to drop without a W is the 28th, and then the actual withdrawal deadline where you have to get a grade is the 23rd of October. Okay, and after that point, a letter grade must be assigned. Okay. I put some links in here too. As far as resource links, the stand, mobile market, and Joanna Alamet is in charge of our stand, and they tend to they're still trying to run some of these services even with COVID. And so if you are in need, please don't hesitate to click on these services. There is some of these places it does take a little bit longer than normal because everything is remote, but there are things that can be or outside services that can be accessed if you need services for food or if you need computers. There are services that can be contacted to get you in touch with that. Okay, so don't hesitate to do that. All right, and then our schedule looks like this. We'll try to do our best to keep to this. It shouldn't be, even with the COVID issues, we should be able to stick to this since we're solely online. But there will be a test a week, and I know that that can be difficult, but once again, we're covering a lot of body parts and a lot of different aspects, and so we do have an exam every week and homework every week. Okay, so all of the homework and the exams are due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. and then the new module will open up the following day on Monday. So our modules will go from Monday to Sunday, and then a new module will open up Monday morning. Okay, the first couple of weeks we do have 2 chapters. And then we kind of start getting to where we're doing single chapters a week. And so you can focus in on one body part, okay, which is nice. And once again, the homework and the tests will be due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m., okay. The discussion posts, and I tried to highlight these in yellow because I know a lot of people say they sometimes tend to forget these. And I will send out reminders the week of every time we have a discussion post, just to remind you and let you know that initial post will be due on Wednesday of that week at 11:59, and the 2 classmates posts will be due on Saturday. So homework and tests are Sundays. The weeks of discussion boards are due Wednesday and then Saturday. So try not to get those confused. And once again, I will send out some reminders each week that we have those. Okay. So we have, this is the only one that's a little bit close together, 3 and 4, because of the body systems that we cover. Those are a little bit close. And then we do have a week off for Thanksgiving. 11:23 to 11:29 is Thanksgiving break. Nothing will be due that week. Okay. And then our cumulative final will be due by Sunday, the 13th of December. Okay. All right. So a couple of things I'll highlight that I did mention were please don't use the small devices to take tests. I do have people that come through and say, oh no, I didn't have anything to take it on, or I forgot. And so just really make sure that you take your test on a larger device like a computer or iPad, or I'm sorry, or a computer or laptop, and not a phone or iPad. Okay? If there's ever any questions, you can email me. And I did forget to put my hours here. So the hours are going to be 1:30 to 3 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and from 10 to 12 on Thursday. I'll have to update that in my syllabus that's listed in Canvas, and I'll make sure that these links are listed in Canvas as well with the times. Okay. My email is right here, tpenrod@sdccd.edu. Once again, my Zoom hours, I actually will be on campus for some labs on Tuesday and Wednesday, but we're not allowed to physically see the students. So just make sure if you have any issues, drop me an email, or you can drop into these time frames. And once again, if you drop in and I don't let you in, I'll take one student at a time, and I'll just keep you in the waiting room, and then as people come in, I'll go one at a time. So just if you give me a little email, let me know that you're gonna pop in that day. That helps. Otherwise, just remember that I may have other students in. So if I have you in the waiting room in Zoom, just hang out, and I'll bring you in as soon as I'm done with the other students. Okay. All right. So email me if you have any questions, and I'll probably do another quick little Zoom lecture with, let me see if I can find my other, let's not do that. Okay, I will go ahead and probably do another quick lecture with the Canvas real quick, and then I'll post this, and I look forward to a wonderful semester. Okay? All right. Good luck and take care.